Hey, it's Lee for On Your Marks Wrestling, and I'm here with a New Japan Pro Wrestling Best of the Super Juniors 25 review. This is part 1 of 2. This is from June 3rd, 2018. You'll have to forgive me, I wrote my notes in pencil because all my pens died, and I'm having trouble reading them with this much light shining directly into my eyes, so I might get stuck on a few words, so we'll move forward with this. I tried to make this as short as possible. New Japan shows tend to be pretty long, so we'll see how it goes. So we got Kevin Kelly and Chase Owens on commentary. The very first match of the night is ACH versus Tiger Mask. I had never seen ACH before. He comes out wearing a tiger mask, but they kind of play it as him being a big fan of Tiger Mask. Early on, ACH hurts his hand when he tries to chop Tiger Mask but hits the post. Tiger Mask attacks the arm throughout the match. There's a frog splash by ACH for a 2 count. Tiger Mask dives, Tiger Driver by ACH for 2. So he hits Tiger Mask's move on him. Then Tiger Mask hits the move for 2 as well. There's a top rope double underhook. I'm not even sure, suplex, I guess. So it's like a superplex, but with a double underhook. And it gets a near fall for ACH, I believe. I didn't even write who it was for, and I can't remember. Anyways, there's a tiger suplex, but it's rolled up by ACH, and ACH gets the win. The next match is Bushi versus Katamaru. Bushi attacks early. He attempts a dive, but Katamaru pulls in a young boy, and he hits the young boy instead. He starts using young boys as weapons. It's kind of entertaining. There's a kind of a running drive-by by Katamaru. I didn't know how to describe it otherwise. Bushi uses his t-shirt to choke Katamaru. There's a ref bump. Katamaru tries to mist whiskey into Bushi's face, but he blocks it with his hand, and Bushi mists him in the face instead. But then eventually Katamaru hides behind the ref at one point. Ref kind of ducks, and Katamaru had held the whiskey in his mouth throughout, and he mists it into Bushi's face. And then he hits his deep impact DDT, which is just a second rope DDT, and he gets the win. The next match is Chris Sabin versus Taguchi. I wrote that it was like a weirdly technical comedy match. So Taguchi is kind of a comedy character. Sabin is capable of doing pretty much anything. He's a veteran. And throughout the match, it's very technical, but there's jokey stuff throughout as well. Sabin always seems to have the edge, which is kind of interesting. Taguchi eventually hits a springboard splash outside, which was really nice, and then a tope con hilo, which was really nice as well. He's not normally the one pulling up those moves. There's like multiple double clotheslines in a row, which I thought was kind of interesting. And Taguchi puts on an ankle lock, and Sabin fights out of it a couple times, but eventually he just can't keep fighting out of it and has to tap. So Taguchi gets the win. That kind of surprised me, but I didn't know what the points were heading in. This is a tournament, and there's points for every win you get, and it gets kind of complicated. The next match is Dragon Lee versus Desperado. Dragon Lee with an early attack, which is interesting, including a tope con hilo. Lee with a really impressive dive, but Desperado uses a chair to regain his advantage. He attacks the leg. Dragon Lee rips at Desperado's mask, and it's pretty much off for the rest of the match. And it's kind of distracting because he's trying to keep it on throughout. It kind of becomes a running theme. I don't know if it was meant to be the theme, if it was meant to be ripped that much, because it literally fell off. The match ends with a low blow, which was supposed to be hidden from the ref, but the ref clearly saw it perfectly. And Desperado rips off Dragon Lee's mask at the end, but the Young Boys throw their t-shirts on top of it, so on top of his face, so that no one can see. So the mask was definitely part of the story. It's just, it seemed very, I don't know, it distracted me. Then there's a drunken, is it Hanma? God, I wish I would have written that better. He comes into the ring and he basically announces that he'll be back on June 23rd. Apparently he's been out with injury, I believe. Or he got married. I don't know, they were saying a bunch of stuff. I don't remember this guy. I know I've seen him, but I don't remember what his deal is. But I guess it's that he drinks. And he talks in a very funny, scratchy voice. Then we have Flip Gordon versus Will Ospreay, and right from the get-go, you know this match is going to be nuts. It's all showmanship early. Ospreay hits despite all these like crazy moves, he does a long kind of arm submission series. It was interesting. There's a springboard spear by Gordon for a near fall off the second rope. And then I wrote, don't know how to describe the kick sequence culminating with a Spanish fly. So there's just a bunch of kicks. Ospreay does his thing where he kind of does a little tap kick and does a backflip, and then he jumps up and hits you with another either drop kick or something else. It was very impressive. There's a double springboard con hilo by Flip Gordon, so he goes off of one rope to another rope to the outside. Very impressive. There's a spinning second rope moonsault by Gordon for a near fall. I'm sure the move has a name, but I forgot it. Ospreay hits a Robinson special, which I believe is his kick to the guy on the ground. It's an awesome looking move. There's a super kick by Gordon off of the springboard, so he basically kind of springboards up to the third rope, and then he does a super kick. There's then a 360 splash onto a draped Gordon, so Gordon's kind of hanging over the rope inside the ring, and Ospreay does a 360 splash. It's cool. And I think he hits what's called an Aztec Destroyer. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard them call it. It's just a cool looking move. You should see it. Everybody should watch this match. It's very entertaining. Then there's a top rope Oz Cutter by Ospreay, and then he also hits his Stormbreaker, and he gets the win that way. Then we have a match between Ishimori and Yo. Ospreay comes out to watch, and it seems to distract Ishimori a little bit. There's an enziguri and double stomp by Yo combination in the corner, which looked pretty cool. Ishimori hits the golden triangle move, where it's basically a springboard, a second rope moonsault to the outside. There's a running knee by Ishimori for a near fall, looked really cool. There's Ishimori at one point just hits a bunch of forearms, just looks kind of brutal. Yo superplexes Ishimori and then hits a Falcon Arrow, and he gets a near fall. There are double knees from Ishimori, which also gets him a near fall. There's a bunch of really, really late kickouts by Ishimori. I thought that added a little bit of drama to this match. But eventually, the Ishimori gets his crossface onto Yo, and Yo has to tap out, and that eliminates Ospreay from the tournament. Then we have Show versus Marty Scurll. Scurll with a bunch of submissions early on. It's a very technical match early. There's a superplex, which is fine. It doesn't really excite me. I always write down superplexes, but they're almost getting too common. Show hits a very big spear. It's kind of his first offensive move of the match after eating a lot of damage. There is a... What did I write this? Brun Buster? I have no clue what I wrote. But Scurll hits a move, gets a near fall. Oh, a Brain Buster. I don't know why I can't write. A Brain Buster. Scurll attempts to use the umbrella at one point, but it doesn't work out for him. He gets double kneed off of a last ride kind of position, so it's basically like, looks like a power bomb, but he lands him on his knees instead. Show attempts a shock arrow, which is his finisher. It's like a package driver type thing. Because Scurll had used his joint attack on his fingers earlier, he has to release the move. Scurll hits a series of elbows and locks in a chicken wing but Sho fights out of it. Sho hits the shock arrow eventually, and he gets the win. An interesting development, I thought. But again, I didn't know the points going in. They mentioned him, but I didn't know how many points you needed to advance and things like that. I feel like there could have been a little bit more of a breakdown. Maybe there was and I missed it. But, then we get the last match of the night, which is Takahashi, so Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida. There's a great dive sequence early, culminating with a Konhilo from the corner by Kushida. It looked really cool. Excuse me. There's a missile drop kick from the apron into a cameraman by Takahashi. So it didn't look that bad until the back of Kushida's head hit a cameraman's knee. There's a weird kind of senton to a standing opponent by Takahashi. So basically, Kushida's coming towards him and he does a front flip. But it's hard to really describe. Not even a front flip. He throws his feet out and he kind of hits him. I can't even explain it. Whatever. You'll get it. There's a sit-out powerbomb by Takahashi. Kushida with a hammerlock kind of faceplant move from the top rope. He does his surfboard submission, but Takahashi manages to get out of it. Takahashi hits... I forget what his setup move is called. So his finishing move is a time bomb. He has another move that sets it up essentially. He hits that, but he can't cover because he's exhausted and hurt from earlier. There's a really weird kind of double arm hooked pile driver where he basically like just planted right on top of his head. That was Takahashi planting Kushida. There's a brainbuster into a triangle submission by Takahashi. He gets the tap that way. So tap out victory. Takahashi starts cutting a promo while on his back. Ishimori spooks him a little bit by getting up on the top rope and kind of feinting that he's going to jump on him. He eventually kind of walks up to him and points his finger into his forehead as a gun and kind of leaves. So basically that sets up the match for the next night. Overall, pretty entertaining matches. Like your Super Juniors, they're going to be flying all over the place. By far the standout match was Ospreay versus Flip Gordon, just in terms of just sheer entertainment of people doing things that you would never ever be able to do no matter how much you practice it throughout your life. The final match, Kushida, every time I see Kushida, he's just so precise and perfect. I think that guy is very, very talented. I really enjoy watching him. And Hiromu Takahashi, for a guy who does a lot of jokey stuff or has done a lot of jokey stuff, that guy can really wrestle too. He moves very fast in the ring. All his matches, I'm always impressed by the speed. So, and best missile dropkick in pretty much wrestling, I think. So, very good. I'm gonna go I expected more standout matches. There were a lot of good matches, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say 8.5 out of 10. You kind of do miss Don Callis when he's not there, though. I will say I really kind of miss that. Chase Owens did his best. He was okay. He had moments where he was pretty good, so it was all right. All right, thanks for watching.